Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Testing Gyan. This is Tarun. Today we will understand about a very important and interesting automation testing topic, which is automation testing frameworks. We will understand what is an automation testing framework, what are the types of automation testing frameworks, and what are the features, which is basically why we need an automation testing framework. I'm sure everyone who is into the automation testing will agree that this is a must-know topic. So let us start. So if we talk about the definition, automation frameworks are simply set of guidelines, coding standards, concepts, and practices that facilitate the creation and maintenance of automated tests, which simply means we are setting up few rules to standardize the process of whole testing within our project. That is, we are telling this is how everyone should create automation scripts, how test data should be maintained, this is how execution will work and reporting will work, and whatever integrations are there, this is how it will work. So automation testing framework implementation varies from project to project. So based on that, frameworks are further divided into few types. Each has its own advantages and disadvantages. These types are like linear automation framework, modular based testing framework, then data driven and keyword driven, and then the hybrid testing frameworks. So let us go through each of these types and understand what exactly these types are. So the first one in the list is linear testing framework or record and play framework. In this framework, testers create individual test scripts for every scenario and run them against the system under test or application whenever required. This type of framework is very suitable for small applications because it is easy to use, right? But on other hand, scripts developed in this framework are not reusable. Also, data is hard-coded, so basically each script is unique as per functionality and test data. Hence, the reusability part is zero, right? So also because in case of any change, right, it will be very difficult to maintain this framework. That is why this framework is not used in like larger projects. Now coming on to the next framework model, which is modular based testing framework. In this framework, testers divide application functionalities into smaller modules or functions and prepare test scripts against that. These modules can be tested individually, and whenever required, they can be clubbed to form a bigger test case, which is basically represents the various test cases of the application under test. Now, the main advantage is reusability of different module test scripts. That is, we can reuse individual module test scripts into some other modules test script, right? Or into some bigger test case. And if any application change happens, then that particular module can be fixed without disturbing the primary test case, right? So maintenance becomes easy in this type of approach. But the main disadvantage here in this type of framework is like mostly data is hard coded in the test scripts, right? So data part is not very well handled in the modular based testing framework. To overcome that, there is a data driven testing framework. In this framework, basically test data is separated from the script logic by maintaining data in some external sources like Excel files. So this framework is primarily used in projects where the test scenarios have to be tested against multiple test data sets. And this is also the biggest advantage of this framework. There are no disadvantages to this framework as such, but this type of framework needs expertise and time. Now coming on to the keyword driven testing framework. Depending on the project requirements, sometimes reusability is very important factor. And this framework helps in achieving that very efficiently because in this framework, keywords or functions are created for each action of the application. Like if we are having a login functionality in our application, right, where that login has to perform almost in every test scenario, we can have one keyword created for that. We can have individual keywords for each action like click action, send data action, right? So this approach is mainly dependent on the keywords, right? And later on, these keywords can be stored in some external files like Excel, which makes it very easy to design the test cases by passing the instruction in form of keywords. Definitely some code has to be built around that, but that is where we need this approach. And the primary advantage of this framework is reusability of keywords in multiple test script design. And like data driven, it also required time and expertise. Now coming on to the last framework, which is very popular these days, which is hybrid testing framework. So basically, this framework is combination of any previously mentioned frameworks, that is linear, module, data-driven, and keyword-driven, to leverage the advantages and mitigate the disadvantages. Combination is basically decided mainly on the project requirement. For example, if your requirement needs to be tested against multiple data sets and reusability of actions is also an important factor, then hybrid will be combination of data-driven and the keyword-driven approach. Now, I hope you guys are getting the understanding of automation framework and what are its types. If you're loving our content, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Now, coming on to why exactly we need an automation testing framework? That is, what are the main advantages of this framework model? So if we talk in the high level, it gives the maximum coverage of the your manual test cases, right? And it requires minimal manual intervention, because once your scripts are designed, it will be like we have to change those automation scripts only when there's some major change in the application or the functionality. Also, it also automates the process of reporting, so it's easy reporting, right? Maintenance cost is also reduced, because like once your scripts are automated, we can just run them whenever required, right? So we don't have to spend some extra hours, resources to run your automation scripts, right? So which saves a lot of time and money. And also, as we discussed, reusability is also an important factor of the automation frameworks, right? We can also have some recovery scenarios, that is, in case of failure, what exactly should happen, right? So these are the few advantages which automation testing frameworks offer. So that is why automation testing frameworks are very useful in your automation testing. I hope you guys understood this topic. In case of any questions or queries, please let us know over the video comments. Thank you.